Good, af- Good afternoon, my dear viewers. Welcome to Global Education and Training Institute Live Talk, hashtag Disruptive Education. So, I'm again here in front of you, your host, Zainab Malai, and today we have a very special guest, Miss Anupma Mahajan from New Delhi. She is an educationist with 12 years of teaching experience with demonstrated exceptional communication skills honing the students to build self confidence, body language, effective communication skills, goal setting, decision making, personality branding, and choosing the right career. She has a strong passion for student development coupled with skill and experience that will enable her to make a difference. She possesses extensive experience in teaching, tutoring, and counseling, along with efficient lesson planning for teachers, training teachers in online teaching techniques, subject matter expert for voice, soft skills, and behavioral skills. She has conducted several workshops for students in personality development, school etiquette, self direction, and effective communication skills. She is having soft skill specializations as thinker, planner, image building, confidence building, voice modulation, business communication, effective communication, reflective communication, and corporate etiquettes. So today, Ms. Anupma will be speaking on making thinking and learning visible. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Zainab, for this warm welcome. So, hello, everybody. Children must be taught how to think, not what to think. When I say this, it means that our children, our students, should be empowered with the 21st century skills. And this has also been mandatory by the new education policy, the NEP, also talks about this. So we have to basically empower our students with reading, writing, and arithmetic. That is the three R's. And now the new R, which is rethink. So let's go on to our session on making thinking learning visible. When I say this, you can see this PPT of mine where it says there are 5W and 1H of making thinking and learning visible. That means the 5Ws are who is it all about? It is about the teacher and the taught, obviously, because it's the teachers who are going to be leading the students to these 21st century skills of rethinking about critical thinking and telling them how to think. What is visible thinking and learning? When does thinking and learning occur? Where does it happen? Inside the classroom? Yes. Beyond the classroom? And now online. Why is it relevant? How to make thinking and learning visible. So, when I say who is learning or what is visible thinking and learning, first of all teachers say that they want their students to develop their thinking. But what do they mean? What type of thinking do the teachers want to value and promote in their own classrooms? Many teachers know that they want their students to think, but they have never stepped back to consider what is it exactly they want their students to do mentally. By making the student learning and thinking visible, we have to demystify to our students to do, think, and learn what is it all about and how to start learning by thinking. We must model for our students what it means to engage with ideas and think and show them that learning is much more than just memorizing for a test. So, a visible learner is a student who can articulate what they are learning, they can articulate the next learning step, they can understand the assessment tools, and they can actively seek feedback. Art of making thinking and learning visible is the ability for the teachers to see learning through the eyes of students. When does thinking and learning occur? Well, it occurs when the student starts questioning, when the student starts listening, and the teacher also starts listening and documenting. The teachers have always used questioning, but to use Bloom's taxonomy, sometimes teachers feel that the students are stilted. They simply can't come up with good questions. They can ask questions that model our interest to the ideas being explored. They can help the students to construct an understanding and ask the right questions to start thinking again and help the students to clarify their own thinking. Then, after having asked a question, the teacher has to start listening. She has to wait for the right answers and start listening to the students. That is how you are giving respect to the students and encouraging him to think more. It's one good thing to ask good questions, but one is also to listen for the answers. By not listening, it's difficult for the teachers to follow up with an appropriate response. Documenting. This is another tool where the student's thinking becomes visible. When I say that, that means the teacher should write the notes on the whiteboard, to take photographs of the student work, should audio tape the student's class discussion so that she knows where the student is coming from. And then it is important to note that in order to advance the student learning, documentation must include more than simply capturing the learning. Having said this, we come to the next W, which is where does all the thinking learning occur? Well, where is the learning visible? It is visible inside the classroom, it's visible in the families right now, it's beyond the classrooms, it's in online remote classes. In all these situations, the role of the teacher is basically to make the learning happen, to spark emotional connections, and give students the power over their learning and express ideas in multiple ways. For students to truly understand something, they must actively engage in thinking and sense making. Keeping this in mind, the teachers must now see their role as creating an opportunity for them to start thinking. How does it happen? How can teachers make thinking visible? If the teachers really want to improve their students' ability to think, then they must first become aware of which are the different forms of thinking themselves. Students focus too much of their energy in completing homework assignments, in giving projects, or doing assignments on the development of understanding. But often a teacher will tell students that it is important to know and then have students practice that skill or knowledge. In the end, little thinking happening is in the classroom because many classrooms, either even if they are bustling with activity or even when the teacher might play jeopardy rather than providing a worksheet to review for a test, but the thinking necessary to turn all the activity into understanding is often left to chance. So, for the students to develop understanding, they must engage in actual intellectual work. They must go out and start doing their own research. They must start thinking. They must start putting their brains into the assignment, not merely just copying it through Google and giving the answers. Can we identify a few routines to make thinking and learning visible? Okay, here we go. There are certain thinking routines which help the teachers to make the students' thinking visible. Now, let us explore them together. The first routine is called See, Think, and Wonder. The curiosity of the student by using a simple object, a simple picture, a simple video, an artwork can be a kind of a prompt to students' thinking. While looking at the selected stimulus, the students asked to write down or share in the class what they are seeing and then what are they thinking and what are they wondering. The students then use their interferencing skill to decide what they think about what is happening in that particular picture. So you are kind of sparking an emotional connect. The second technique is also called compass points. When I say compass points, we know that the compass has 4 points, north, south, east, west. The students are presented with an idea. An immediate response can be recorded. They can be asked to look at the idea. Students record what excites them, E. Then they say, okay, what worries them about that particular topic, W. Then they are asked to think about what they need to know, N. And S is for suggestions for moving forward with the idea. The third technique is called peel the fruit. Starting with the skin, which represents the surface issues, the students are asked to get under the skin with deeper questions regarding the issue. That means they start exploring. When I say they start exploring, students are then moved on to the substance of the deeper issue until finally they're asked to evaluate the issue at the core. Question organizer. The organizer is used to record the initial thoughts, ideas, questions, understandings about a given topic. After reading an article or watching a video, students are then asked to rethink their initial opinions about learning of the topic. The idea is for bridges to be built between the ideas when new information is obtained. So, students should be focusing on the idea of understanding and connecting their thinking and ideas. The next technique is called the six thinking caps. When I say the six thinking caps, the thinking routine assists the students by looking at things from a number of different points of views. The six thinking hats technique was created by Edward de Bono, and it is good for developing the decision making and creativity in thinking. Students are able to put on a hat and view things from a different point of view. The six thinking hats are yellow hat for positives and advantages, white hat, what are the facts, black hat, difficulties and dangers, red hat, new ideas and creativity. Sorry, the black hat for difficulties and dangers, the red hat for emotionals and feelings, the green hat for new ideas and creativity, and blue hat for managing the thinking process. Let us go over this again. When I say the See, Think, Wonder was the first thinking routine, followed by putting on the thinking cap, where I say that yellow hat is for what will idea work. That is the yellow hat. And when I say yellow hat, it means it is about optimistic, about hopeful, about positive thinking, about constructive, about effective. And for example, a yellow hat activity for a students could be, what are the good points of being tall? So you can list it down, and there the students will put on their yellow cap. When I say black hat, it means caution, danger, judgment, assessment, logic, evidence, consequences, weaknesses. And then we come on to the black, which is serious, cautious, careful, lays out the risks. Then we say the black hat activity. For example, look at the school bag, read the end, write what you think must be wrong with the design. Identify the weakness in the new kind of a bicycle. So that is where you put on the black cap. Now, moving on to the red. The red one is about emotions. So, how do you feel about this right now? What are your emotions about a particular thing? How strongly is the student feeling about something? Your intuitions, your hunches, and you need to justify your feelings. And having said that, then it is about the next one. If you say a red hat activity, for example, you're listening to a piece of music, how do you feel about it? Please justify your emotions about a piece of music. How does it make you feel? That is the red hat activity. Now, when I say the white, it's about neutral and objective. You deal with facts. Facts are facts. You have to deal with them. And what information, facts do you know? What information is missing? What information is relevant? How do you examine the facts, the figures, and information? The white hat activity, look at a box, pretend that there is someone has brought you a pet. It is inside the box. You write down the facts would you like to know about that particular pet. When I say green, it is about the new ideas, the new information, like plants springing from seeds or new different ideas, the suggestions, the alternatives. And when I say the green hat activity, again, you go back to your school bag, look back, see how we can overcome that, how we do have a better idea for keeping a school bag. You can draw or write down an explanation on the back of the school bag sheet. That is a green hat activity. And a blue is basically for controlled orchestra conductor, thinking about thinking, organization, making up a thinking plan. That is the blue cap is doing. When I say the blue hat activity, talk about a recent earthquake. You can discuss it. How much loss was there? What happened? What remedial action can be taken? What are the disaster management actions? Suppose there is another earthquake. So that is the blue hat activity. Now, having said all this, there are six different imaginary hats, and each hat is a thinking icon. Now, there is another way. This is what we say, that black hat, why it may not work, is danger. Red hat, feeling and intuition. Green hat, yellow hat, blue hat. Now, coming on to the next, we come to another way, which is called the hypothetical problem solving using the hats. For example, the blue hat is organizing the process, the red hat, emotional issues, white hat, what we know, and yellow hat for proportions and suggestions. And we are also next now coming on to the facilitator's role. Now, you, as being a teacher, define the focus of your thinking, plan the sequence and timing of your thinking, and inculcate the same thing in your students. Ask for changes in the thinking if needed, handle requests from the group for changes in the thinking, form periodic or final summaries of the thinking for consideration by the team. Okay, now we come on to the next, participants rule. You can follow the lead of the trained six thinking hats and try to work within the time limits and keep prompting the students to do the same. Now, uh, we come on to the 3-2-1 bridge. This is another thinking routine. You could summarize this tool to basically at the end of the session that how much learning has happened by asking the students to record what they have learned, allows the teachers to see how learners synthesize and integrate new information. And then comes the convergent, divergent, and lateral thinking. Divergent thinking is using their imagination. Convergent thinking is coming to a logic, and then kind of lateral thinking is thinking outside the box. So use all these kind of thinkings to draw conclusions and help the students to start focusing and coming up with new thinking ideas. And that is how they start thinking. That is how they start moving in the classrooms also. And even when the teacher is not there, they use these thinking routines, and we can lead from teacher-led to student-led classrooms, and the thinking will be very, very visible. When I say that, then what might happen to India's ecosystem if cows were carnivores instead of herbivores? So, this kind of an idea can be put in front of the students and they can put on their thinking caps. The fact is that in India, India's ecosystem is about cows being herbivores. Now, what will happen if they were carnivores? You reflect and start this discussion in your classrooms. Let students come up with out of the thinking box and you change the end of the story. Now, the next thing, uh, there's 7 ways to inspire divergent thinking in your classrooms. You can embrace creative constraints. You can use divergent thinking to get unstuck. You can celebrate creative risk taking. You can chase their curiosity and you can incorporate play. And if the student now gets bored, I don't think that's possible because the student is completely engaged in what they are doing and how they are planning. So uh, now I can ask the teachers if they have any questions related to these thinking routines. I am Anupma Mahajan, and today's talking was about making thinking learning visible. Any questions from your side is more welcome. Each kid has a different response system, each kid has a different attention plan. You have to, as a teacher, start making ways to make your class happy. And you can have the visible thinking be enhanced in the current digital classroom scenario. Would love to know more about thinking and learning? Please get back to me.
Thank you, Anupama ma'am, for such an full of enthusiasm and very interesting session. I just loved
Thank you,
your
Zainab.
hats wala concept is amazing. Invisible
Thank you.
hats. It will
Thank you.
for sure help the teachers to engross their children in various topics that they teach in their classes, and it will give them a new way of doing things. So I again request the teachers who are watching this program to ask question. There's a question: what is better, teaching standing one place and teaching, or moving to each and every place? Oh, I don't think so this question is any time valid in the present scenario. What do you say, ma'am?
It basically just depends on the comfort level of the teacher, basically. If you are comfort standing at one place, that is your thing. See, the main idea is to engage the student. Everything becomes very boring if it is a monologue. So it has to be a dialogue. There has to be ways to engage your student in the class. That is the most important. Even while you're standing or sitting or moving, that really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, that is for true. And what you can do, you can keep sitting. A suggestion from my end: you can keep sitting at one place, but you can ask your students to get up from their place.
Absolutely.
You as
Absolutely.
a teacher don't get bored sitting at one place or standing at one place, but your students do get bored sitting at one place. You can ask them to like give them a time slot and ask them to go and do this activity and come back.
Yeah.
This is what I see in my little one's class. Her teacher asked her to rush to the refrigerator and get this color vegetable, this color, and like she's in the refrigerator searching for all the colored vegetables in there. So this makes it active in a 3 hour session. So a 10 minutes break or a 5 minute break doing this will help for younger
Yeah.
ones. I'm saying so there can be other ways to engage the elder ones, of course.
Any other
So
question, please?
my dear participants who are watching us live, please you can type in your questions. I hope Abdul Nasir sir we satisfied you with our answer. Um, one question, ma'am, I have like
Yeah.
like you are talking about thinking and all the stuff when we are doing an online class. So how do we ensure that every child is involved in this thinking process?
Like I had given this example of if cows were carnivores in the Indian ecosystem. So you can, time and again, you can put such questions to the students, which can immediately involve the student there and then, and they start thinking. They start becoming involved in the classroom. If it's just the teacher talking, and she's reading out a lesson or discussing the question answers, that really doesn't excite the student. We have to find ways to excite the student and inculcate that thinking in them. And then there are these apps which are available, which I can be, grooming the teachers on, where, actually there are videos available. You can play the video there and then put some questions or quizzes. You can teach for 10 minutes, put a quiz, put a video, put some multiple choice questions. So you know that the student is completely involved in your classrooms. There are these apps like Edmodo, Edpuzzle.
Yeah.
There are these apps like Kahoot where you can play online games or quizzes. So this way, the student is completely involved, and you know what is happening in your classroom and how much the student is learning.
Yes. And one
Does
more
that
thing,
satisfy you? Yeah,
yes, ma'am, it satisfied me. One more thing I like came to my mind while I was listening to you. We need to give thinking time. We as a teacher
absolutely,
give
absolutely. So that is what is flipped classroom all about. The flipped classroom concept is this: that you ask the student to read the lesson at home and come back. So you only have the discussion in the class because the student has already gone through the chapter. And they're only answering questions in the class, or we're playing a quiz or playing a game, or trying to do things so that the student knows that he has to read the chapter at home, and he's already prepared, he's already started thinking on those lines. It has to be the other way. Normally what happens is that we teach and we give them homework. This
we
has to be like turn around. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So I don't see any more questions coming. There is another question: how to become effective class while explaining English lessons?
Yeah, again, like I said, you can ask the student to read the chapter at home, and then you can have a role play in the class of the characters in the chapter. That is the best way, because that way the students are also excited because they're doing something out of the box. You know, if there are certain characters, or you can ask the students to talk about a character sketch in the class. They come prepared from their houses. And then on the online class, you can engage them to talk about the certain character, and then you can have a discussion and you can know the views of the students also, that what they think about that character. Obviously, all the views will not be the same.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, with this, I would like to thank you and thank my audience for asking such engaging questions. And I really thank you, ma'am, for giving us such a insightful session. And looking forward for more such sessions. So, with this, I thank you all on behalf of Global Education and Training Institute. As Global Education and Training Institute is always working towards transforming education. So, how do we transform education? We transform education by providing trainings, and you can look onto our website for upcoming trainings, and always call on the number given in the website. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.